Hello! Welcome to another episode of Today from Yesterday. Today we're going to be talking about Syria. So far on this channel we've talked about history that relates to like movies and stuff like that, but I also want to cover current events. So today I'm going to talk about Syria and the civil war that's going on there and the events that led up to what it is today. I had to split this video in two, so for the first half we're going to talk about the history leading up to the civil war, and the second half we're going to talk about the civil war. So when you take someone out for a first date, you want to get to know them, so you ask about their past, right? The current events are a lot like that. In order to get to know them, you have to know their past. But not like how they got first place in the middle school science fair. That's not what we're looking for. We want something more in the past 5 years. But in history terms, that's like past 50 years or so. You can't just jump into what's happening now and expect to know it for what it is. So Syria was controlled by the Ottomans from 1516 to 1918, and that's Ottomans the people, not the furniture. At the end of World War I, with the Ottomans defeated, France and Britain split the Middle East between them. And basically what this increased European influence did was encourage a nationalist movement. So what's a nationalist movement? It's whenever a group of people native to a country want to rule it themselves. Because it's typically what happens when a culture you don't share tries to boss you around and tell you what to do. You want to be able to tell each other what to do. And so in September 1936, Syria requested its independence and France granted it. However, this was largely ceremonial in nature as France still maintained economic and military control over the region. Syria has a lot of rich oil deposits, and France did not want to lose the economic prosperity that would come with controlling this area. There was a hiccup of control when Germany took over France, but after World War II, France regained control. And again, Syria requested its independence. And again, in 1944, France granted it. However, once again, they were slow to remove troops. So during a protest in 1945 over France's slow withdrawal, France occupied the parliament, they used artillery on the civilians, and they fired on them with their guns, killing about 400 people. So a future tip to all potential imperialists out there: killing people does not really make them feel like their concerns are being heard or even considered. So what this served to do was increase pressure from these nationalist organizations. More protests flared up all across Syria. So France got fed up and just left, which is what the Syrians wanted, but it's not exactly what is good for them. Ideally, France would keep its word and pull out slowly while seamlessly transferring power over to a government that was established by the people, intended to take the place of French control. And instead, France threw up the peace sign and just split, leaving Syria to figure it out all by themselves. Syria struggled to find a new government and constantly ratified new constitutions. In 1948, Syria joined the other Arab countries in an effort to completely destroy Israel, and the fighting did not go in Syria's favor, and they lost a lot of land in a neutral zone established by the UN. The military leaders of Syria were disgruntled by the constant changing of government and the recent loss. Fed up with the process and thinking they could do better is the major factor that led to the coup, which proved to be short-lived as it was followed quickly by another one, and then another one, and then another one. For those of you who don't know, a coup is when a military officer uses the men under his command to take power from the government and try and instate his own. Convinced that maybe Syria might need some help, they decided to join Egypt in the UAR, or the United Arab Republic. They soon realized that Egypt intended to dominate the Union, and fed up with other countries telling them what to do, Syria left and continued another bloody search for leadership. In 1970, Secretary of Defense Hafez al-Assad took power in a surprisingly non-violent coup. Under his leadership, the Ba'ath Party, a nationalist party founded in Syria, began to consolidate power and create a parliament that consisted mainly of Ba'ath Party members, but also featured opposition party leaders in an attempt to satiate potential opposition. I mean, everyone wants to feel like their voice is being heard. And so a constitution was drafted proclaiming Syria to be a secular socialist state with Islam as their major religion. Hafez was determined to crush any opposition. He wanted to avoid the bloody unrest that plagued his country for 30 years. Hafez's major enemies would be groups that believe that Islam as the major religion does not go far enough. These people want Islam to be the government, and anything less is blasphemous. In order to quell these opposition groups, Hafez relied on violent measures. This led to an oppressive regime. Opposition political leaders were arrested, protesters were dealt with harshly, including the bombardment of the city of Hama, which was intended to wipe out an Islamist group. This bombardment killed and wounded 10,000 to 25,000 people, and is considered to be one of the worst attacks by an Arab government on its people. Hafez al-Assad is the father of the current president Bashar al-Assad. When Hafez passed in June 2000, Bashar took over. So this is a very brief video of what led up to the Syrian civil war. In the next video, I will talk about how the civil war started and how the major players, Assad, the rebels, the United States, Russia, and ISIS all got involved in the first place. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Hey folks, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Feel free to comment if there's anything you'd like to see me covered. I could always use more ideas, and like corporate America, I am willing to outsource that job.